Welcome back, everybody. I'm Jay, he's Matty, and that is the modern Aztec warrior, Buddy V. This is MMA Weekly, brought to you by Yankee and the Brit, and today we got a really special guest for you guys. But you guys, there's a lot of stuff going on in the MMA world. There's some YouTube stuff we're going to talk about, some Jake Paul, maybe some Tyson Fury, some other stuff. But first, let's get to the special guest we got coming on, our boy from StreetBeef's West Coast, Shinigami.
What's up?
Hey man, old friend of the podcast, long time no see, but one of our first big guests, definitely one of our first MMA guests to come on. How's it going, man? How you been since we last spoke?
Oh man, it's been a long time. Lots of ups, lots of downs, but always got to come back from those, you know. Yeah. I don't know if you guys, I'm sure you guys heard, you know, about the whole car getting stolen situation. That was a big setback in my training, but I did manage to get enough GoFundMe money and found a car within that budget. So I'm back to training. Shout out Pat McAfee for dropping $1,500 into that GoFundMe.
Thank you.
Didn't expect
much,
that, but even bigger shout out to the fan that brought it to his attention. I think the guy's name was Mike, I believe. I'd have to go back and watch that episode to be absolutely sure. But shout out to the fan who brought that to Pat McAfee's attention. Yeah, man, right now I'm just I'm getting back in shape. I'm working my jiu-jitsu. I got promoted to purple belt.
Nice. Congrats. Thank you.
Just found a boxing gym to try to get my hands tight. And I think the next thing is I got that. I'm supposed to have an immediate rematch with Striking Viking. So definitely trying to get ready for that.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, great, man. Like, I mean, first of all, sorry about your car. Thank you very much to Pat McAfee. I mean, what a fucking dude. Dream guest of the show. Also, Sandra Proctor has just said congratulations on YouTube on getting your purple belt. And I think we all owe you a big congratulations as well. But most importantly, tell us about the rematch with the Striking Viking. How are you feeling about that?
I'm feeling good about it. Like I said, I'm taking the steps to prepare for that properly and get myself back in the mental state. After I got COVID, I think I rushed into fighting too soon. You know, I just really wanted to get back out there, and I signed up for too many fights too close together with too many really tough opponents, and I didn't really give myself enough time to prepare properly for any individually one of them. You know, it's a little different, you know. I don't have a manager or anything. I'm kind of on my own, kind of throwing myself in there. So that's on me. Lesson learned, right? But for sure, definitely getting myself back in the right headspace and getting the training I need to deal with the level of competition I'm now at, including Striking Viking.
Okay, so I know fighters don't think ahead, and you got to focus on the fight in front of you.
That's on me. Lesson learned.
I've been throwing out there the idea of you fighting solo from the scrapyard.
Yeah, I'd like to see that one too. That'd be a good one.
Huh. I'd have to watch some of his fights. I don't think I've seen any of them yet. I admit I haven't really been watching fights lately. I've been too busy back on the grind. I definitely need to watch more Scrapyard for sure. My big thing I want to do in Scrapyard, though, the guy I really want to fight is the Destroyer, because he's like 310 pounds and he throws head kicks too.
Yeah. The Destroyer. We got some good people out here coming out and fighting and putting in that work, man.
Like, that was who I wanted to fight when I ended up fighting Nerd Rage. But we don't know how that went.
Yeah.
But he was a nice guy, because he could have really hurt me. I mean, he did some damage. I couldn't see straight. That was wild.
Yeah, no, he's a beast, and that's the best part about fighting. You win some, you lose some. That's my favorite part. Because then after you come back from a loss, it's like, yeah, I'm coming back stronger, twice as good, twice as fast.
Oh yeah, for
So-
sure, dude. It's an inevitable part of the game. I think the thing that really sets champions apart from like guys who really aren't cut out for it is how you handle a loss and how you come back from it, right? Like you don't just give up because you've had 1 or 2 or 3 or whatever, right? You just got to keep grinding.
Yeah, 100%. And it's kind of all about that grinding, kind of picking yourself up. Look, we're all going through tough times at the minute, and it's really important to pick ourselves up. So how do you kind of fight back from a loss? Do you go in? Do you analyze your fights? Do you go back and look at the film, or do you just think, look, I know where I need to make myself better. There's no point of looking back in the past and going over that.
I think you have to have a combination of being aware of where you're at just from the experience and then going back and looking at the footage, because if you're not looking at the footage, you're never going to have an accurate perception of exactly what you actually need to work on and where you actually messed up. So, yeah, definitely rewatch those fights, especially the Nasty Native fight. That's the one I probably rewatched the most because I think that's the one where I made the biggest tactical error. Because the only thing he caught me with was the thing that did me in, really. And that was my fault for shooting, like panic shooting, and trying to grab his leg to get off the fence. And he just pushed me off and clocked me while my hands were still down. So I've really analyzed that and analyzed his speed and like just realized that like there's definitely guys who have in MMA and even in like in street beefs that have a decent enough level of boxing that the things I would normally do to survive it or counter it ain't going to work on certain guys anymore. So I have a lot, like I said, I got a lot to work on, but I definitely to answer the question more succinctly. Yeah, you got to watch the footage and just, be aware of where you're at from the experience and kind of combine those two to fix those holes in the wall.
Yeah, and what would you say is your kind of biggest thing that you're working on? What you're working on to really improve your fighting? Where are you in the gym and what you
boxing and conditioning. Doing a kettlebell routine and some cardio. Doing that like between 3 and 5 days a week right now, depending on what my schedule's like between morning class and evening classes on like Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday I always go to Planet Fitness and do conditioning now, like I was before my car got stolen actually. And then like Sunday I do, karate stuff to work on my second degree black belt because I'm still working on that, which also helps because we're also working on some stuff that's going to help me in street beefs too. I don't really want to say what it is, but it's definitely making the Kempo a little more applicable for boxing counters. And then, I just got hooked up with a pretty good boxing gym, and my old boxing coach might be opening his gym back up. I mean, they closed before when everything shut down for COVID, when it was supposed to be 2 weeks, they were going to move to another location and they never reopened. But his son is a barber. He actually gave me this sick, fresh cut. And I was asking him about boxing lessons, like doing some private training with him or his dad or whatever. And he's like, yeah, man. And then I got a cold. And then when I came back, he was like, yeah, we'll just go to this boxing gym. My homie hooked me up with. So then I guess he showed the owner my fights and he was like, yeah, I'll work with him. So I actually got a pretty good work in Monday night. I'm still sore from it actually. But I think that's the biggest thing is mainly the conditioning and the boxing for sure.
That actually brings up a question that I had because obviously if you're working on your boxing, your conditioning, everything else, does it take away from some of your Kempo? Or are you still able to take it?
Not really, but I think part of that has a lot to do with the fact that while I'm doing everything else, because what a lot of people don't understand about martial arts, especially people who train things that aren't necessarily considered martial arts in the more traditional sense, like boxers don't think about it. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu guys don't really think about it. But everything, it doesn't matter if it's Kempo, if it's Jiu-Jitsu, if it's boxing, they all share very common principles. So what I try to do is find where those principles are applicable and then look for openings where I can adjust it or work Kempo in later, when I'm not doing the boxing. Like I'll take the boxing stuff I work on and I'll go home and I'll add like Kempo parries to it or Kempo footwork to it to like be able to adjust between the fighting styles that I know and kind of flow from one into the other.
Heck yeah! All right, all right. Now, I did have a personal question, bro, or not like personal, but like I was very curious about this. I know that when you do some of your stuff on YouTube, which is a killer intro, I love the logo and everything. You have like trophies in the background. So do you prefer doing stuff a little bit more tournament style, or do you prefer like more that street beast where you can utilize anything that you want?
I kind of like being able to knock people out, having the ability to knock people out without getting disqualified for it. Don't get me wrong, tournaments are fun. Tournaments at this point are a different kind of opportunity. Now that I'm a black belt, I could potentially win money at karate tournaments, and there's starting to be jiu-jitsu tournaments like high rollers and a few other ones that have like cash prizes if enough people enter your division. So I think when I go back to doing tournaments, I'm going to focus mostly on those. Except for the jiu-jitsu tournament I'm getting ready for. There's one in a couple of weeks out here in Lancaster, so I'm hopping on that because it's a rare opportunity if there's anything out here ever. But yeah, I think after that, tournaments mostly is going to be a focus to try to win a little money. StreetBeef is more. I like StreetBeef more because it's more like it's full contact. It's full contact. I get to actually implement things in a more realistic way. You know, it's pretty much like amateur MMA or full pro MMA, where in the sense that it's the closest thing to a real street fight that you're ever going to do competitively. So I definitely like StreetBeef more than the tournaments.
Heck yeah, I could dig that.
Besides that, you see how many trophies and medals I have. I don't have room for any more of those.
Right.
I legit have like a 3 foot. There's like a 3.5 foot tall trophy in my garage because I don't have a place for it. And there's a title belt from a tournament I won in 2019 that I don't have a spot for either.
I got a 3.5 foot long. No.
Oh, that's some Washington shit that you just came out with there, buddy. That is some.
Yeah, it's legal here for anyone that's watching outside of the state or it's legal here.
We have a question from Sandra Proctor, and it is there a particular person you want to knock out, buddy V? Sorry, Shinigami. Is there a particular person you want to knock out?
Like in StreetBeefs or just like in general?
Because I think that's open to interpretation. I would say in general, and then we'll take the StreetBeefs one to start some shit.
In general, there's a list. Quite a few politicians on that list.
Yeah, Boris Johnson's top of my list, by the way, just letting everybody know.
Boris, Trump, Ted Cruz, Manchin is on there, a few people. The people at the California State Athletic Commission for telling us we can't have StreetBeefs anymore over here. In StreetBeefs, I never really try to. I know I'm a little famous for that one knockout, but I never really tried to go in thinking I'm going to knock somebody out. I always, like I said before, I try to go in there and just test myself and take whatever opening is there. If I can set up a knockout, I can. I definitely want to rematch Nasty and try to get my title back, and I think knocking him out would be a spectacular exclamation point on my StreetBeefs career. So that would be awesome if I could knock him out. I mean, we're boys and everything, but since that's the question, it would be great if I could knock him out for a comeback for the rematch. But I mean, I'd just be happy if I could beat him, to be honest. Other people in StreetBeefs, wouldn't mind knocking out DTP. As far as guys in my own branch, knocking out Striking Viking would be sweet. I don't know. I guess the real answer to that is just anyone I fight would be sweet to knock out. It's really hard, like I said, because I don't really go in with the intention of just knocking somebody out. I think about the only person I tried to really knock out right off the bat for real was Nerd Rage, because I saw that cauliflower ear and that boxing stance, and I was like, I think he's going to be a lot more experienced than they said he was, and he's going to be real trouble if I can't put him away quick. And boy, was I proven right. That's why I tried to go for that big side kick. I'm like, no one's seen me throw a side kick to the head. No one's gonna expect a linear kick. Everyone's, looking for those roundhouse kicks. I was like, maybe that'll do it. But yeah, I think that was the only person I went in after the cage door was locked when I got to knock this guy out like right away.
Yeah, that's a nice sound too. The chink, and you're locked in for good. Ooh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
So if you
definitely a different vibe when they lock a cage door versus when you're just standing in a circle of hay bales.
Yeah, right. You fought all over. Are you gonna work your way to down south sometime soon? Because I know that I want to get down there by the summertime. Well, maybe after summer, so I don't burn. But yeah.
Yeah. I actually did talk to Cody about going over there. Like, I would like to fight in every branch. There is one thing that could potentially get in the way of me doing street beefs for a good chunk of the year, if not ever again. And that is, I don't know the name of it, but there's a casting call they've put out for an MMA reality show. And they'd actually put the casting call out before COVID locked everything down, like 2 years ago. 2 years ago. And I'd applied for it then, but since they locked it down, I never heard anything from it. I just applied for it again last week. And it's probably about the only time I've ever tried to use street beefs as an accolade to get anywhere. But if I get on that show, I don't know where that's going to take me. But I know it's a 2-month filming schedule, so that might change things. But it's like $2,000 a day if you get on there as a fighter, which is what I applied for as a combatant. So who knows, man? That could be life-changing for me. It's about the only thing that's going to keep me from street beefs. But other than that, yeah, I would like to get down to Dirty South around like July, maybe.
Yeah, and have you thought any more about how you can transfer? Because when we first did an interview on here, Shinigami, you just knocked out detail. It was going pretty crazy for you. Have you thought about how to press that on more and like make more and more money off this kind of stuff?
Yeah, I'm still not really great at marketing my stuff. I have a whole bunch of merch. Like, it didn't even occur to me to start posting screenshots of it on Instagram until after my car was stolen. It's like, I got 10,000 followers. Why am I not promoting my merch line here? Because that's like the one thing. Like, I have more followers on Instagram than anywhere else, and I really should use that more as a tool to promote my stuff. Because yeah, I my YouTube isn't getting the views like I thought it would ever. Really, never really got there. I just need to promote myself more, I think. But it's funny you should mention detail because that thing just keeps going around. Even the same day that I got knocked out by Nasty Native, 6 hours later, I was on Instagram and somebody else had just posted it because they'd just seen it for the first time. So it's wild how that just keeps making the rounds and popping up and getting it's still out there, just floating around in the aether, and people are still just matter of fact, the 2 times I went to that boxing gym, I had like 3 different people come up asking to take pictures or, hey, you're that guy, right? It's kind of crazy. But yeah, I'm still trying to work on ways to parlay that into making some side income, off of merch or getting my YouTube monetized, things like that.
And if anybody's watching this out there that can help Shinigami with that, then I'm sure he would like to get in contact. He would like you to get into contact with him. We've got a good question from Overtime Hustling, friend of the podcast, great magazine. Leading up to the fight, how does your diet change, if at all?
It doesn't change much. I definitely cut out my once a week cheat meals, for sure. Definitely cut those out. Like the whole fight camp, I just stick to my diet. I'll sometimes I'll cut the calories down a bit so I lose a little more weight, so I'm faster. Like right now for like breakfast example, I'll have like a half a can of pineapple and a couple of handfuls of peanuts. During fight camp, I'll cut that down to a quarter of a can and like less than like 3/4 of a handful of peanuts instead. Like I reduce everything down. And I really cut out the carbs outside of that breakfast. But yeah, I mean during fight camp, I really get strict with my diet and just stick to kind of pretty much modified keto and just reduce calories.
Ooh, keto's hard. Ooh, no thank you. I like eating.
You know what? I do too, and that's why I put on a lot of weight over the holidays. And then, I wasn't really going to bring it up, but I did just have a close friend of mine die at the beginning of the month, and just did his funeral last week. And while I didn't go off the rails like I did when his brother died in 2017, and when his brother died, I have a thing where, like, if I'm depressed, I tend to eat a lot, and I'll tend to eat things that not necessarily junk food, but just carbs. I didn't really go off the rails like that. I was eating carbs like once a day, so I kind of put on like 15, 20 pounds since December between the holidays and just that. But like now I'm back on. I've actually lost like 11 pounds just this week because I got back on my diet and up to the training. So yeah, I mean, it's just, and that's the thing too. Like for me, the way my body works is if I just got to stick to that no carb, low carb, like really low carb, almost no carb diet, and just train a lot consistently, like all day, basically.
What's up, Castro?
Honestly, I genuinely couldn't do that kind of stuff, like having a diet and cut down for fighting. Like I try and diet and keep myself healthy. It's a real struggle at the minute. It's not like losing a friend, but kids stress you out when you're teaching them all the time. So you're going to have to eat some sugary fucking shit, like just to get you through the day. But it's really, really hard to kind of keep yourself strict. And that's what I always think is the hardest part of fighting, that keeping that diet and things like that is incredibly impressive. Also, the willingness to want to take a punch to the head, that is another thing that is that's an incredibly difficult bit of fighting. How's that progressing as you kind of moving on?
Yeah, I know my last couple of fights I kind of panicked. But I think there was a little something else that kind of happened training when I was training with somebody. And I don't really want to get into it. I already talked to it, and I've worked through it, with the mental coach that hit me up. So I don't really want to get into details, but yeah, it was just a gym situation that just wasn't right, and it kind of screwed up my mental. And then the coach was kind of just being really, really negative towards me. So I think, like I said, right after COVID, and then with that going on, I just don't think I was in the best physical or mental state, but I was trying to push through it. But I'm definitely working on, I'm not like doing stupid meathead stuff like some of those videos you see where it's like the guy's just sitting there getting punched in the head 20 times, hanging upside down like a punching bag or whatever. Like I'm not just sitting there taking unnecessary brain damage, but I am definitely working on slipping and just dealing with staying in the pocket and not balling up and panicking and stuff. And just generally moving forward, like even in jiu-jitsu, like we were running, like we've been running a lot of in the morning after class boxing stuff too, just like counter boxing. Like, in fact, I'm going to post a video to my Instagram. This last weekend, I went down to San Bernardino, like Riverside, and was training with some of the other StreetBeef guys, and 619 showed up to the session, and we did a few rounds of boxing, and then we did a few rounds of boxing where I was working on trying to shoot on him. And so I've been doing stuff like that, instead of just panicking and trying to get back into kicking range, which kind of just has put me up against the cage and gotten me in bad situations. I'm working on staying in the pocket and moving forward and implementing other things, instead of just panicking, basically. So definitely working on my game and working on my mental and working on that getting more comfortable in those uncomfortable situations.
That's all right. Yeah, I mean, I couldn't imagine getting in a cage and just wanting to fight somebody. There is, however, the rumors of a StreetBeef's UK coming out. And I mean, Shinigami, I'm sure you'd be very popular if you came on fought here in the UK, and I'll show you around. Don't you worry.
You and my buddy Bill the Butcher, who made my logo over there. Yeah, I would love to go fight in the UK if they have a StreetBeef UK. I mean, that's been in the works for a while. I know it's coming. Hopefully it happens soon. I'd love to go across the pond. I've never been outside the country.
Oh, yeah, that'd be a good place to start.
Oh yeah, go knock somebody out and then get some fish and chips with the boys.
Right, yeah. First time I left the country, I want to knock somebody out. Please.
That's what most British people do when they go abroad and drink too much, to be fair.
I mean, don't you guys just drink too much, to be fair, anyway?
Yeah, pretty much. It's a bit of a fucking epidemic, not gonna lie. But you know, Boris Johnson drinks when we're all our Prime Minister actually has parties where he drinks while everybody's isolating. So, you know, but that's more for real talk. Jay.
Didn't Winston Churchill drink like 20 times a day? I mean, the dude had like a like a highball or something every morning.
Yeah, I mean the dude's like fucking. He's a different breed of guy. What is it? He smoked something like 8 cigars in a day. I smoked 1 the other
and a
night,
mistress every
and that was
night.
too much.
Yeah, Winston Churchill definitely stayed lit like all day, every day. Come rain, shine, or World War II, that man was just lit.
I mean, fantastic history knowledge. Come rain, shine, or World War II. I fucking love that. That is where that's his slogan. That's right. I'm going and spray painting that on his statue, not the normal nasty shit that I would usually spray. Jay, do you have any questions for Shinigami? I know because of your bad connection, you try not to speak over us all. Oh. Is he here?
Well, it just gets weird sometimes when there's 4 of us, but
Yeah.
I got a question. Is wife and I going to Vegas for the NFL draft at the end of April? I don't know how far you are away from there, but if we're close enough, I'd love to meet up with you and just maybe a lunch or something and meet you in person where we're down in the area.
You know what? That could work. I mean, it's only like a 3.5 hour drive from here, depending on traffic. And the car I have now is probably good enough for me to make it without renting a car. I mean, I just drove it to Riverside and back, and that's pretty much one way to Vegas round trip. So, you know, that could work, man. I'd love to do it.
Well, I do not know. I do not know how far you are from Nevada, but that's actually where we're going to first. And we'd willing to drive and meet up with you somewhere. I just thought it'd be great to have lunch.
Yeah, you say Pahrump?
Yeah.
You said Pahrump?
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever been there, so I know that's about 45 minutes away from Vegas, like southeast or something, I think. But I mean, like I said, I'm about 3.5 hours away from Vegas proper, so I'm sure I could work it out and make like a day trip out of it, or maybe even a weekend out of it, depending on where I'm at with my money at the time.
Yeah, and fantastic boys' night out in Vegas sounds fucking mint. And one last question for you, Shinigami, before we let you go. Randy Rice has asked, do you drill all MMA or do you just work on your strong points? Now, you've already kind of answered this, but we did say that we'd ask all questions. So why don't we change it to, what's your favorite shit to drill? What is your absolute bread and butter, your favorite stuff to drill?
I think my favorite thing will always be karate, but I really like tying everything together with MMA sparring and MMA drills. But I kind of work everything separately and then kind of blend it together when I'm doing fight camps, and sometimes just for fun, you know, we'll do some MMA sparring after jiu-jitsu class or whatever. They're like on Saturdays, especially at open mat. So that kind of answers both questions. I love MMA because I get to do everything, including like, because everyone sees like movies like Karate Kid or Bloodsport or you know, Best of the Best, or even like watching Cobra Kai like right now, and you see them doing the tournaments and competing and doing throws and takedowns. Regular karate tournament, you can't do any of that stuff anymore. They took that stuff out in like the late 80s. So that's why I like doing MMA. That's kind of why I started doing MMA in the first place, because I mean, Kempo has a lot of takedowns in it, and doing point sparring, you don't get to do them. Doing continuous sparring, you don't get to do them. So the only way I was ever going to do that was doing the MMA sparring. And then, you know, it just really came down to two things. Like I wanted to be able to have the option of knocking people out and eventually go pro and get paid for competing, because I like competing, but it takes so much time that if you're not, it comes to a point where if you're not getting paid for it or trying to get paid for it, at some point you're kind of just pouring a whole lot of time into something that's just taking away money opportunities. And for me, I'd rather do something that makes me feel fulfilled, like competing and get money out of it, than try to deal with drudgery and then try to, make time to be fulfilled later.
Yeah, I mean, who the fuck wants to get hit in the head without getting paid for it? That's
Right.
that's what I want to know. I mean, like,
I
get
mean,
paid for it
I think Hoyce
eventually.
Gracie said it best. Nobody likes to get hit in the head. I don't think anybody likes to get punched in the face. It's just an aspect of the game you have to accept. It's just part of the game. And you just got to learn to work around it and push through it, I mean, even Mike Tyson, right? Boxing is all about hitting people in the face, and even he's most famous. Everyone's got a game plan until they get punched in the face. So, no, that's just something you never learn to like unless you're a masochist. And I don't think there's too many masochists in fighting, because I think everyone's
Yeah.
trying to win, and I don't think a masochist would care about winning.
Right.
They'd just
They're
be in
also
there for the beating.
They're in a dungeon somewhere. Put up.
Just like fucking like Homer Simpson on the ropes, just fucking hit me, instead.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think what we've learned from that is my Street Beef's name would be Glassjaw, because I'm not taking any hits to the face. And also, you're still one of the biggest names in Street Beefs. You're still an absolute pleasure to talk to. And we've had you for half an hour, so we don't want to take up any more of your time, Shinigami. Thank you so much for talking to us. You've been absolutely great. See you soon.
Hey, thanks for having me on again, man. I missed you guys, buddy. Nice seeing you again.
See you too.
Oh no, sorry, I cut you out. Sorry,
It's all right. Miss you in person, buddy. Jay, sucks about the connection, man. But yeah, Vegas, hope to see you. And again, thanks for having me on. Yeah, I'd love to be on again too. Maybe one of the next UFC cards, I'll watch that and we can run it back and break it down or something. But yeah,
sounds amazing.
Shinigami out. Shout out Rachel.
See you later, man. See you later. Bye.
Oh yes.
God, I need to not cut out guests prematurely. That is just terrible, terrible behavior. But thank you so much to Shinigami. He's been absolutely great. And now a word from our boys at Overtime Hustling. Here is Cuzzo.
What up, y'all? This your boy Cuzzo, host of the Chronicles podcast and also the host of Overtime Reactions. And let me tell y'all something, man. Y'all make sure to go check out Yankee and the Brit Sports Talk. Them guys are knowledgeable. They have good content. Go support them, man. Go check them out on Facebook, Instagram, and definitely tune in to MMA Underground Weekly, man, where they have guests, great commentary, let you know about upcoming events, promotional material, all that, man. Go check them out. Yankee and the Brit, what up? Salute from your boy Cuzzo. Holla.
Yeah,
It
Cuzzo.
still doesn't get any easier for me, Jay.
So am I the only one? Am I the only one who wants to salute back?
No, I hit the salute every fucking time. Like, honestly, I just do it so cringily because of how nice it is that he's saying nice shit about us that I feel weird then doing it. There's our boy from Overtime Hustling on the bottom of the screen. Thank you so much for watching, man. Really, really appreciate you. Thank you for turning the ad that was meant to be your ad into our ad. I don't know whether you've seen me talking about that on our sports time stuff. You're absolutely great. We're going to move on to some UFC stuff now, some YouTube boxing stuff. Buddy, how are we feeling about Dana White and Jake Paul? What have we got going there?
Man, it's just insane. The stuff that keeps coming on. And I mean, I was never the biggest fan for Jake Paul, but the dude is trending. He knows how to get himself on media, and he's calling out Dana White, not just with the whole take a cocaine test and then I'll take a PED test, whatever. But, I mean, he made a straight diss track. A diss track. You have to really be under somebody's skin to go and do something like that. I mean, I'll give him props. You know, he had Cyborg in there, a couple UFC fighters, and, you know, talking about healthcare for the fighters and a lot of other getting them fair pay. And from hearing some of the other stuff, like you showed me the whole teacher diss, he definitely paid someone to write that song for him.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah.
But, I mean, it's interesting. What's the group? Endeavor Group. Yeah, the Endeavor Group Holdings. I saw that he actually bought some stocks in there, and they're like the parent to the UFC. So he's trying to do that so he could try to be like one head above and try to start making changes and saying, hey, I got this much share, I hold this much, I want to say so, yada, yada, yada. So he's, in a sense, he's following through on everything he's talking about. But I just kind of think it's kind of silly, all the stuff you want to fight. Then he's calling out Khabib. And the back and forth with that, they said what? He said he never got an offer from Khabib, and Khabib said, come out, my promotions, we'll put it on, we'll do whatever it wants, yada, yada. He's like, oh, you can't afford me. Sorry.
No, I just mean it's kind
the
of
only
like,
thing I gotta say is the diss track would have been a whole lot better. I just thought the diss track would be a whole lot better if he could actually rap.
Right. What the?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, we're having some connection issues over here, guys, but we'll hopefully get that kind of fixed out. Wi-Fi will start sorting itself out. We've got a lovely shot of Buddy V's Tash going on right now. There he is. He's back. We've got him. But yeah, I mean, I haven't seen the Dana White rap battle shit yet. I know that Jake Paul can't rap. I watch a YouTuber called Cody Co. There's no way he's watching this. Dude's got 5 million subscribers on YouTube. But anyway, shout out Cody Co. And he did he's done a kind of diss track towards teachers, and it's about how he fucking sits there in a class and a teacher told him he ain't gonna be shit. No teacher is ever gonna say you ain't gonna be shit. It is not in their job interest for them to say you ain't gonna be shit. I don't know how teachers are in the States, but that's not gonna happen here. And then a teacher claps back with a better fucking diss track than his, saying, I can't remember the lyric, but it's something like, don't say I don't see Jake Paul in these hallways. Some of these kids see me more than their own dad. Like that kind of shit. And it's just like fucking cold. Like anybody who gets dissed harder in a diss track than by a fucking teacher should not be dissing Dana White, who will just give him hands.
Right? He's bold, that's for sure. Sorry about the issues. I don't know what's going on with my Wi-Fi.
It's fine now. We're all good. We're back on track. And yes, SK should be writing.
Oh yeah, SK though. Right up. I'm actually about to buy that album probably tonight. The deluxe version too of Durantula.
Hey. Shameless promo. Rider is going to be on Real Talk, and Real Talk is coming to the Yankee and the Brit channel. So stay tuned for our boy SK the Rider on the revamped first episode on Real Talk on Yankee and the Brit.
Hell yeah. And I mean, you guys that are still fucking watching, like, thank you so much. We really love it when you watch, and we really hope that you support all of our stuff, and definitely go and support Buddy's Zul. And with that, I mean, with the connection problems, it's probably best to move on to something a bit more in our wheelhouse, and that's to move back to Street Beefs. And we're going to talk about Buddy V's fighters to watch. Get ready for this, because we've got a new intro song for just Buddy V. Ready?
Buddy V's fighters to watch.
There we go. Buddy V, who have we got? What are your fighters to watch in Street Beefs?
All right, so this is like my top number one. I definitely picked him. I rewatched a lot of his fights. Sensation, not to be confused with Asian Sensation from the West Coast. Still a good fighter too, but Sensation from the OG yard. Because I actually met him when I was in Virginia. I think his fighter didn't show up, and it was supposed to be a beef fight. But I mean, he continually fights. I see him do kickboxing. He does MMA. I don't know if you saw the recent one with Rampage, where he got him with that head kick. Woo! That was a good fight, and I think he's a belt holder. So I can't quote me on that. I forgot. Sorry, but that's the guy I'm watching. And when you look at the upload dates, you'll see 3 weeks ago, 3 months ago, 2 months ago, 1 month ago, this month ago. I really was. Yeah, I was impressed. All right, cool. Good turnaround rate. So that was my number one fighter for the day. I actually didn't pick a second one because I was just going to talk about him. I would say I like his lengthy style. He actually is able to put pressure on while he fights, and I've liked how when he's putting the pressure on, he'll back up, wait a minute, observe his fighter, and look for the opening. So he's not just blindly attacking. He's actually carefully calculating a lot of his moves, and you can see him do it a lot better through every single fight. So it's like he's fine tuning all his skills, and it's just. I want to see him fight a lot more. I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing him fight on a higher level too. I like him at StreetBeef because then that way I get it on YouTube. I don't have to pay for the pay-per-view stuff.
I mean, that was fucking Coach Buddy V there. That's some serious Buddy V coaching right there, giving us actual details about observing, absorbing, going in and fighting. When are you becoming the master of your own gym, man? Any opinions on Sensation Jay?
I get really excited for all of these fighters, and now I'm becoming this fan of I've always been a fan of Buddy V, obviously. I talk about how electric his personality is. But now I'm becoming a fan of the fighters. And because I've seen these guys fight and I watch a lot of fights, once he says, like, hey, you got to watch this guy because of this or because of that, I go back and re-watch the fights and see shit that, like, normal people, like my whole life of fighting was high school street fight, right? So when Buddy V said something like that, I go back and rewatch these fights, and I see what he's talking about. It makes it more intricate. He's like the Joe Rogan of StreetBeefs, man. He's breaking down everything, making it good for the casual fan to get in there and understand what's going on. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I heard that joke once before. Someone's like, "We try to be the Joe Rogan of the scrapyard or something." What the heck? I maybe I'll do a special when someone gets knocked out. I jump over the cage, just like, "Oh, what do you feel about that? How's your head feeling? You know where you're at." Just kidding.
I mean, as much as people are hating on Joe Rogan at the minute, I'm not going to talk about your opinions on that. But as much as people are hating on that, I mean, being called the Joe Rogan of StreetBeefs is not necessarily the worst thing ever. And that was our Joe Rogan of StreetBeefs, Buddy V, with his Buddy V's Fighter of the Week.
Buddy V's Fighters to Watch.
Yeah, I love it. Thank you.
So, Maddie. So, Buddy's Fighters of the Week are awesome. But let's not forget to shout out our OG StreetBeefs yard going to BLK Prime. Right now, we'll get more into it in the coming weeks. But I saw Scarface versus the One-Eyed Wolf is already booked. Can't wait for that fight.
That's gonna be a fun one to watch. I know Scarface always has. I heard he has some heavy hands. Even like when Fire Trigger says, when he throws some of those bombs, you could really feel him. Knows how to put his weight behind there. And I mean, he's been running StreetBeefs for so long now, and constantly having to go defend his name against other call-outs, online trolls, people talking mess around him and whatnot. I mean, he knows how to do it. I mean, there's people that have talent, there's people that train to do it, but he's training through constantly, not just in a gym, but constantly having to live that lifestyle. So it's just funny when people come out of nowhere, "Oh, I'm gonna beat your butt. Oh, I'm gonna see you one here." Scarface brings the heat every time. What do you guys think?
Yeah, absolutely. And I do want to. I just wanted to say for everybody, we did not put that comment below. That was none of the three of us. So whoever JJ is, you rock.
Shout out JJ. JJ is actually one of my twin uncles. He's the one that has the hot sauce recipe almost completely ready to go. So he tunes in every single episode. He watches all the stuff, supports everything. He's got down on some of the NFL talk too. So.
And I mean, dude, if you ever want to advertise your hot sauce, then come advertise on here. Come do it on here. That's totally fine. Is there anything else in the world of fighting that anybody wants to talk about? We've kind of got some connection issues, so I think we're gonna start bringing it to an end. But what else in the world of fighting is going on?
I'm sorry about that. Hopefully the connection's not on my end.
It's not yours. It's
Okay, so the whole like the Fury, the Tyson Fury Dylan White fight. I was just looking into
It's
some
mine.
stuff. I was like, all right, so where was it? I found out that it was originally supposed to be what? Usyk and Joshua, and then they changed it to White versus Joshua, but they were gonna step aside to let Usyk and Fury fight. But then there was a whole bunch of dispute with all the purses, this and that. People kept backing out, and so now obviously it's Fury versus White. So then that means what? Usyk and Joshua, whoever wins that, is gonna have to fight, assumably Fury. The funny thing is, though, because he even said what Joshua's supposed to be getting 8 million pounds. Sorry, I don't know the symbol. I'm American, so you know. He said he has 7.5 million too much, and even on my social media, calling out all the heavyweights, saying, "Come and fight me, come take it." You guys are scared. You're ducking. You're running. He's making a name for everybody, and he just wants to line them up and knock them down. And he's the person to do it. I'm just, tell me what you guys think. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, what I think about this, right, is Usyk made Joshua look like shit. But I'm a big fan of Anthony Joshua. I think he'll bounce back. I think he's a guy that's more kind of susceptible to an off day than the others. And I think he's a really talented fighter still and could go out there. But in their contract, it said guaranteed rematch for the heavyweight belt. So it would have to mean that Joshua stands aside for Tyson Fury to fight Usyk. And so Joshua has to step aside, number one. I don't see, like, the people in the UK wanted Joshua to fight Dylan White 5-6 years ago, maybe not as long as that, like 3-4 years ago. That's when that fight would have been hot shit. He doesn't want that fight. He wants his rematch against Usyk. And if Eddie Hearn's paying him 15 million to step aside so that Usyk can fight Fury, no, like, he's not taking that. He makes that much money on fucking brand deals with Nike. He doesn't want that much money anyway. That's how I feel. Like, Usyk is gonna fight Joshua, which means Fury can either fight Dylan White, who is the next contender up that I'm pretty sure he has to fight. Don't quote me on that. I'm pretty sure he has to fight him. But if he doesn't, he has to do what he did the last time he got the heavyweight belts, and he has to relinquish the belts again and relinquish them to the next contender. That's how Deontay Wilder got the belts. And I wonder where Wilder is in all of this, but I mean, he went he had 3 matches and got the shit kicked out of him. But yeah, it's an interesting foursome to have to kind of work with, and I don't see Joshua stepping aside for Usyk. And I know Fury wants Joshua the most. From what I've seen of Tyson Fury, that's who he wants his next fight to be. But if he's got to fight Usyk, he's got to fight Usyk first. Yeah.
And in that last round with Joshua and Usyk, I mean, if you had a few more seconds on that round, I felt like Usyk would have knocked him out personally. But hey, it's fighting. You never know. Like you said, Joshua, if he has a bad day, comes out, they have another fight, and he's having his good day. He's on his stuff. Woo!
I mean, I fucking love the fact that Joshua might get knocked out. It would be interesting to see. Like, I'm a Joshua fan. I don't think I could see him getting rocked that much that he would get knocked out. You know what I mean? Like, he's just got a meaty fucking head. Like, it's gonna be difficult to knock that dude out. I think Usyk and Fury would be an incredible fight, and I really want to see it. But you kind of look at it like, I think that's a worse matchup for Fury than Joshua, and he wants to confirm he's the best in the UK. Never mind the best of the world. Like, we already know he's probably the best fighter in the world. He wants to make sure that, because that Fury Joshua fight has been on the cards for 3 years.
I mean, people are gonna be excited to see this because we have such a stacked heavyweight. I mean, in boxing right now, you have so many. For a while it was middleweights or something like that, because I mean, you had Gervonta Davis going with Ryan Garcia. You had Canelo Alvarez, and he's knocking everyone. He's not even speaking. I don't think anyone can touch him. But it's kind of crazy to see how it's just shifting right now. And yeah, sorry.
It's what the UK like the most. The UK like their heavyweight fighters. That's how we like it. I don't know how it is in the US. But I mean, when Triple G was in there being the best pound for pound fighter as well, I mean that was impressive. But the heavyweights bring the heavyweight money to fighting here in the UK. Obviously, the US is where all the big money is, though.
I was gonna say, Jay. I mean, we've been kind of talking a lot. My bad. I know I talk a lot. You have
Josh,
anything you want to say?
you got to try. I was just gonna say with Joshua, all you got to do, here's 20 million. Sit your ass down. We're gonna do this fight, and you get the winner.
Absolutely.
I just don't see him. I just don't see him doing that. He's got this whole honorable persona kind of shit that comes with him. I think you would have to pay him so much money, and you've got to think you make like a Joshua Fury fight. I imagine more people would watch than the Usyk Fury fight, even if they're more like, even if they're better. A better suit, like they're the two bigger fighters. I think personally, from what I know in the UK at least, Joshua Fury is going to be bigger than Usyk Fury, but that doesn't mean that it would be a better fight. It just means I imagine they'll get more views for that.
And I mean, in the world of fighting, that's what drives half of the stuff. What's going to get the most views? Like earlier, we're on MMA. We're talking about a YouTuber who's boxing in MMA because he's generating views. He's getting people to watch this. It's all a money game. I mean, if I had money, I'd be in there too. You know, I'd be doing some side bets over in Vegas. Woo! Man. Yeah.
All right. Okay. We're leaving a long pause between certain parts of the show. But basically, I think that's everything, guys. I think we've pretty much comprehensively covered it. Okay, Buddy V, shout outs. Go for it. I'll try and remember all the.
Obviously, shout out to Overtime Hustling Magazine. They're always supporting, always doing a good job. I know me and Viking Warrior are supposed to be featured in this next issue, so I'm pretty excited about that. Yeah. Shout out to Yankee and the Brit, because everything else that they do is freaking awesome. I tune in when I can, even if it's on the side, just in the background. Then obviously my brand as well. And shout out to the Scrapyard, because that's the reason why I even get to fight and do half the stuff I do. Bam. So Zoel-world.com for my website. I got a lot of merch that I'm about to release here very soon. I've actually been waiting to do it. So maybe the next one I'll have a couple teasers to show you guys. But and then Instagram, or no, my YouTube, BuddyV253, for all the interviews from the fighters. You get an in-depth look at all sorts of behind the scenes in the cage when nerves are fresh. They're raw. No talking mess behind a computer screen at your house because you're comfy. You're right there with your opponent standing next to you, hands wrapped, ready to punch each other in the face. So, yeah, thank you.
There you go. And guys, definitely go check that out. If you're in the area and you're near a fucking scrapyard, then just go and check it out. Maybe even have a scrap if that's what you want to do. Get into a fight if that's how you're feeling. Just a few shout outs from us. Shout out to Overtime Hustling again for giving us the support. We really appreciate it. And shout out to our new podcasts that are coming out soon. We've got Real Talk, which is an old podcast from Jay, a podcast that is absolutely fantastic, talking about current events and things like that. A bit of a different thing from the world of sport, but hey, it's fantastic. Go check it out. If you can't tell by watching this, me and Jay are kind of political as well. We just try and keep out of our sports chat. So go watch the Real Talk over there if you want to watch that. Go watch the Yankee and the Brit for just American football stuff mainly, but we talk other sports as well. Go watch the Markout podcast. That's coming out in a week or two's time. The Markout podcast, that's going to be our WWE podcast. And finally, we also have a Real Talk kind of podcast coming out, another current events podcast where it's about making fun of current events. So look out for that. And if you've got any name ideas for that, then throw them in the comments below. We'll listen to them.
Heck yeah.
Let's not forget, shout out to Heart in the Fight, and make sure you guys tune in tonight for Scrap Talk with all of our boys from the Scrapyard.
I'll be there. Heck yeah, I'm be in the
There
comment
we go.
section watching live. All of you guys better be in there. Everyone watching now, be in there live.
There we go. There we go. Thank you so much, guys, for watching. We really appreciate it. We'll catch you on the next one. I forgot the times in these other guys' time zones, but we're always here at 10 p.m. UK time, and we're here at other time. I think it's like 4 over in Jay's area.
2 p.m.
And then what?
Pacific time.
2 p.m. in Pacific time, 4 p.m. in Jay's area, and 10 p.m. if you're from the UK. Congrats on still being awake at 2 p.m. You fuckers, you don't have any jobs to go to in the morning, clearly. So thank you so much, guys. All the best. Cheerio.
Peace out.
We got it. There we are. He's got it. Okay.